Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to say thanks for the over 6,000 comments and likes on my Canon air filter I posted on this page a few weeks back. And I apologize for the long time in between being able to make this video and that. But a few physical problems and mental disabilities kind of held me back just a little bit. But anyway, we're back here. We're going to show you how simple this actually was to create this Canon filter. There was a lot of comments and a lot of questions, and believe it or not, this is probably the simplest process that I could actually do that come out really spectacular according to most people. I didn't use much other than some 3D printed filters, and I gotta thank Danny Putman for those. Look him up on his page if you're looking for little stuff like this. He's a great guy to deal with. His name once again is Danny Putman, and he printed those out for me. And what I do, just to save a little bit of time, I already painted them with I used a lacquer Tamiya black flat paint. As you can see, it's not exactly flat, but that's alright. Doesn't really matter. And for the color part of these, I found these absolutely wonderful. These are by Zaire. You can get them different brands. I think I got these through Walmart.com. They're a water-based acrylic paint marker, and they are absolutely very thin for anything you want to do model-wise. You shake them up, you can hear they have a little ball in them, and when you open them up, they're not a very thick paint at all. When you put them on something, they're very watery, and they're not really good for a whole lot other than, pardon my crudeness there, other than doing what I did on these parts. Now I've got two different sizes, these air filters. This is a very large one. Now was hoping it would come through better in a video, but basically all I do is, well, this is already dry, so I don't need to hold it on there. All I do is squeeze out a little bit there, rub it on, and as you can see, it doesn't cover really well. And try to get out all the little air bubbles there. And the reason why I like the fact that it doesn't cover really well is it lets the black show through, gives that filter depth, and makes it look pretty realistic, if you ask me. Now I'm doing this really quickly for video timing wise, I guess you'd say, because I don't want to bore you guys. But as you can see, it doesn't have to cover 100% because it's an air filter. Air filters get dirty. They get a little grungy, a little dirty after every run, especially when you're in the world of street racing. I'm trying also to do this under a camera, and I don't have a great eyesight with this because I need my glasses, but still doing the best I can to try to get this covered in enough time to show you how I completed the whole thing. And as you can see, some of it's being covered a lot heavier than others in spots. Alright, now that it's pretty much covered, so are my fingers. I'm going to put it back on its Q-tip here. Yeah, I guess that side's a little bit better. Now I can just hold down the top and go over a few of those spots where my fingers touched and it looked horrible. And to get these markers to come out, all you do is you press them down and it reloads the ink on them. Yeah, I do that all the time. It's really a simple, not a very hard process at all. I actually think I like it on the smaller filters a little bit better. It's easier to cover. And also you have to remember with 3D printed parts, sometimes you get rough spots. And if you didn't sand them, you find them in a hurry when you go to paint them. And as you can see, it actually does a pretty good job finding all the little spots that it didn't cover and cover too much. If you got too much coverage on there, you can simply wipe it off and go at it again. Because these are water-based, they do actually dry pretty quickly, which I was surprised for an acrylic marker. And I think with this one here, we're going to leave it at that. Looks pretty normal for a driving filter. I'm going to set that off to the side and let that dry. In the meantime, I already did a smaller one and got that painted. And beforehand, being painted in flat black, I did that so I didn't bore you with those little details. This one here's got a little bit of a hair on it. And now I'll show you, I use also these AI chrome markers to do all my chrome work. They're actually pretty nice. Again, you shake them up. And as long as you don't touch them afterwards, they come out fine. Now for the chrome parts on these, I very simply just run them very carefully around the edges. As you can see, they cover pretty well. And remember, your chrome markers are lacquer based, so don't put them really heavy over an enamel paint, and you'll be fine. Or let the enamel cure for a long time. This has only been dry a few minutes. But I used a flat black lacquer on there. And once again, the edging. If I don't drop them, they'll be fine. I have a little problem with osteoarthritis and makes things really hard to hold sometimes. So you can imagine my fun with mistakes when I drop stuff and some of the bad words I might say. But basically you can see how simple of a process this really is. And there you have it. Hope I got that all on camera there. If not, I will redo this video. But basically that's how simple it is to do a K&N type filter. And then make sure you sit and let this chrome pen dry for a couple days before you touch it, because they do have the tendency to dullen really quick. But basically that's how you get the filter that I put on my GTO build. I'm going to set that there. I'm also going to try, they got different colors. And K&N comes in some really nice bright colors. They come in blues and they come in reds, and this set actually come with 24 different colors. But because I'm working on a car that is going to be green based, and it also matches my son's Snap-on toolbox, I'm going to give one a try with the green just to see how it comes out. This is one of the smaller filters again. I actually really like how bright the green and the blue is. I chose the opaque pink on the other one because it was the easiest and closest color match to a K&N filter, which isn't a true pink. It's more of a, I don't know if you'd call it a burgundy pink, a mauve, or however you want to say color-wise. And this one here needs to be loaded there a little. And like I said before, yes, I do that all the time on my cloth. I've actually got a little thin sheet of plastic that come out of the bottom of a grocery bag, a cloth grocery bag, over the top of my green pad. That way I don't totally screw it up all the time. That way I can just wipe it off with either water or paint thinner, depending on what type of paint I've got on there. As you can see, I'm rushing and it's kind of crude, but you can get the idea of how these things actually come out and how realistic they kind of look. And then I'm just going to give it a once over all the way around. Not too bad at all. I'm going to set that down to dry. And once again, these are from Walmart. I've seen them on Amazon, multiple different colors, multiple different brands, but all they are is an acrylic water-based marker. They come in very handy for especially doing things like this. And like I said, this one comes with a set of 24 different colors. I'm going to go back to this one. Looks fairly dry, enough to where I can just touch up around the edges for the chrome parts. And if you get a little paint like in there on the black, you can always touch that up with a brush again. I'm only doing this for reference reasons anyway, and quickness. Just to give you guys an idea of how simple these filters were to create. And I actually did it by accident, like Bob Ross says, happy little accidents can create beautiful artwork. I don't quite agree with him when he says there's no such thing as a bad accident, but I've got one body I've painted 4 times now because I'll do something to screw it up. Sometimes it's my fault, sometimes it's not. Everyone who does painting with different paints, especially rattle cans, knows you will redo a body at one point or another. And with this chrome, I do like to put it on heavier than it's supposed to go, because when it dries, it flattens out and it looks very, very much like you have a chrome dipped piece like your regular plastic model kit stuff. But for the most part, there you go. That's how these things look. I'm going to set that one off to the side. And go after this green one here. Even though I'm not sure it's totally dry, but that's alright. I'm starting at the bottom in case it comes off the Q-tip. I use whatever I can to hold these things because my hands don't hold anything anymore. Not well. And like I said, these chrome pens are lacquer based, so if you're putting them over a wet enamel, be very careful because it will eat away at the enamel. I got a little bit too much on the top piece, but that's alright. I can dab some black over that eventually. And the same thing with these chrome pens. You can reload them by pressing them down. This one comes out very fast. So, being lacquer, I don't want it to get all over my paper or my plastic on my table. But it makes it much nicer when you go to put it on. And if you overdo it, like I said, it dries, it flattens out as it dries. And comes out pretty good. So now I have a green filter and pink filters, both K&N style. Hope you enjoyed these videos. I hope you found it somewhat informative and showing you just how simple things are sometimes. Nothing amazingly hard about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for all the wonderful comments. You made me feel very happy and welcome. Have a good evening.